This is something that shouldn't need to be said, but apparently it does, because we have a plethora of degenerate low IQ retards that want to export their inferiority complexes and their insecurity issues on society and use that as the metric to redefine social norms. But you have a bunch of people that want to create these barriers to men and women approaching each other, talking and interacting. And what they're trying to do is they're trying to stigmatize all of the interactions. So this is something that's going viral, where at the bottom you have sexist humor. One above that is devaluing women. One above that is approaching without consent. Now, these three bottom ones, there's nothing wrong with that. All three of these are perfectly fine. In moderation, obviously. If you are devaluing women to the point where you're saying that women are absolutely fucking worthless and all this stuff, and you mean it and you're applying that to your life and trying to advocate for that, well, then that's obviously not good. That's not going to be healthy for you in the long term or in the short term. But if you're somebody that's just making sexist jokes or going, I don't really think that women should be in the military, that sort of stuff, that's perfectly fine. That's perfectly logical, reasonable, and fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Approaching women without consent, not a single thing wrong with that. As long as you take the hint if she says no. You shouldn't follow her, you shouldn't stalk her, you shouldn't berate her if she tells you no. Just take the L, go home, and cry yourself to sleep. Touching without consent. Now that is a whole different spectrum than these other three. Abuse, again, a whole different spectrum, and rape. And these people are trying to lump them all in together. That is absolutely ridiculous. And this person goes, quote unquote, approaching without consent, as though there's something wrong with that. Asmongold comes in and absolutely correctly points out that anything above the red line is jail. Anything below the red line is fine. Every normal person knows this. BPD women and incels have ruined our culture and media while trying to replace social norms with their personal unresolved trauma. True. Absolutely true. Asmongold is correct. The only people objectifying or objecting to this obviously true statement are mentally ill, degenerate, virtue-starved freaks that don't know how to interact with human beings. They should be removed from society and put into the work camps. Absolutely. Put them into the work camps right now, right into the work camps. Below the red line is fine. The audacity to say that while being a man. Asmongold, you reach a new low every week. I don't know if this person's trolling or not. Go actually fuck yourself, dude. You are the last person anyone should ever listen to on how to interact with women. Why do you say that? Like, have you seen Asmongold's former girlfriend? I mean, that chick was like shockingly hot. Okay? No offense to Asmon. I'm not trying to look at your girl, but that chick was like stunningly attractive. Can't get consent to approach without approaching without consent. Comedy can and should be offensive in all directions, as long as it's all in good fun. Devaluing women? Disagree. The measure of value between men and women is different. One is not lesser. This goes both ways, of course. Yeah, absolutely true. Yeah, so they basically just got rid of it and pointed out the fact that these bottom ones, there's nothing wrong with that. Everything above this is criminal already. Everything below this is not criminal, but they want to criminalize the whole thing. Approaching without consent, human extinction. Yeah. I was not aware of the approach without consent rule. How did this pass me by? How do you get consent? Do I hold up a sign? It's like school where you pass a note to a friend. People, millennials, are strange. Yes, and they're fucking retarded. And they have unresolved trauma that they're trying to export on civilization instead of dealing with it. Hang on. That's called the base department calling. That's the base department calling.
This way. Just because I'm dressed this way does not make me a whore. Which is true. Gentlemen, that is true. Just because they dress a certain way doesn't mean they are a certain way. Don't ever forget it. But ladies, you must understand that that is fucking confusing. Fine. You are not a whore. But you are wearing a whore's uniform. I'll tell you that shit right now.
I like to thank my resolved trauma for being able to appreciate sexist humor. Yeah, based. I did not consent to this showing up in my feed. Yeah, so unfortunately, we're dealing in a time where these freaks ooze out of the woodwork, and I think stomping them out metaphorically and their hideous ideas is the way to combat this. And it should be treated with the contempt in which it is owed, because this is all designed to further stigmatize men and women from interacting. And there was I don't know if you call it an altercation, but there was a situation at TwitchCon where you had Neon, who is, this short, relatively unattractive guy, not a, 6'5", beefy stud. He's not somebody that you would call traditionally attractive. Well, Neon approached a girl and he basically said, "Oh, I think that you're pretty. I think that you're beautiful. Would you like to come to this after party with me?" And her response was just garbage. Like, it was really, really bad.
Like, people say it's objectifying. Yeah, of course you're going to be attracted to the way a person looks. Like, what? Duh. Like, really? Duh. Of course people are going to think that. And so, it's a compliment, get over it? Well, no, it's not even a compliment. It's that, again, I think that people like this make any sort of discourse around like acceptable sexual behavior in public and flirtatious behavior in public. I think that they confuse it a lot. The fact is, like, if a guy comes up to you and he just says, "Hey, I think you're attractive, like, do you want to come to my party?" and you say no, and he says, "Okay," like, okay, that's the end of it, right? Like, I mean, like, maybe you could say he should have talked to you more or something like that, but at the end of the day, like, it's really not that big of a deal. Like, and there are so many, and this is the other issue, right, is that there are so many other instances of men that I think go over the line, men that are pushy.
Yeah, he's right. There are men that go over the line and are pushy, and, a girl says no and they follow, a girl says no and the guy follows. Yeah, there are absolutely instances like that, and those should be condemned totally. But the problem is that these people make the situation 10 times worse because they try to lump everything in. Everything from rape to sexual assault to abuse, all the way with, like, catcalling. Okay? No. There is a world of difference. If you go, "Wow, girl, you look really good," maybe it's not the most polite thing to do, but it's not on the level of fucking sexual assault. And these freaks, because they have trauma issues and they haven't resolved it, they just lump everything in. Any interaction with a man is some game where they're trying to get advantage, or they're trying to take advantage, or they're trying to objectify and imprison. Like, it's simply unreal. Like, this is the interaction that he was talking about with Neon. This is something that I think is fairly basic. This guy, I think, behaved himself just fine.
Hello, how you doing today? Nice to meet you. What's your name?
Emerome.
Hi.
Emerome.
Emerome.
Just call me M.
M.
Yes.
I am.
What's your name?
Neon.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
That's horrifying.
Real quick, Emerome. I'm doing a little after party.
Okay.
I would love for you to come.
Why?
Because you're very beautiful.
You gotta.
I mean, honesty, he comes up to her, he goes, "Hey, how you doing?" He introduces himself, gets to know her, gets to know her name. "Oh, I'm having an after party. I'd like you to come." "Why?" "I think you're beautiful." Now, is that the smoothest answer? No, but it's honest. Hey, he thinks she's pretty. He wants her there. He wants a pretty girl to be there. And she looks at the camera like, can you believe this guy? Now, if he had been a 6'5" Giga Chad stallion, she wouldn't have been behaving this way. And you know it, and I know it. Everyone knows it. I mean, when you're a relatively attractive guy, which, by the way, Hassan is getting fat, so that's on the clock is ticking there. But for Hassan can literally abuse his dog, and these desperate women will be like, no, he didn't abuse his dog. There was no shot collar. There was no dog. Hassan doesn't own a dog. What are you talking about? Like, there are these women that will go out of their way to lie for this guy, but apparently just asking a girl to a party, like, hey, I'm having an after party. I'd like for you to come. Why? Well, I think you're very beautiful.
Go. I love being objectified.
And of course, it's the fat friend. Of course, it's the fat fucking hog friend. You know?
Come on, let's go.
Come on, let's go. Oh, you fucking fatty. Get the fuck out of here. And look at it. He's like, what the fuck?
Wait, what did I do wrong?
Wait, what happened? Look at the friend.
Yeah. What did I do wrong? Nothing. Nothing. She's just a bitch. And she's there with a hog friend that was trying to cockblock you. Now, him inviting her, there's nothing wrong with that. I love being objectified. Like, oh, it just drives me up a wall. These people take their own vanity and insecurity issues and problems, and they try to export it on literally everyone else, and it's pretty despicable. Now, the thing that I'm actually most frustrated by, is the fact that this woman is so awful that she's actually making me defend Neon. I don't want to defend Neon. I don't want to defend this guy. Are you kidding? I'm like, ugh. So gross. So fucking gross. These women are just so nasty. Like, imagine doing that to just like a guy you're not even really that interested in. Not really that interested in, but you're just gonna do that. Like, that's gross, you know. And I am so glad. I am so glad that I turned off the share screen. Twitter, oh man, I'm gonna need to do a video on this. If I literally hadn't made the choice to tick off right there, I would have to redo this video because staring at me is fucking anime porn. What the fuck? Why is there anime porn? Just I literally put Neon. I put his name into the search bar. I didn't put anything else. Look, I don't want my Twitter feed censored, but at the same time, could we at least acknowledge that porn should be at least, like, separated somewhere else? That basic search functions should not just have random pictures of anime porn. Now I gotta be more on edge than ever. I gotta scroll further down to make sure that I'm not accidentally stumbling into some porn that may end my fucking career. Not that this is my career, by the way. I'm just making a point. God, can you imagine YouTube is a fucking career? Anyway. Yeah, apparently this guy had a crowd at TwitchCon, which I think is interesting. But Twitter, you need to do something about that. You need to do something about that. Why the fuck is there just anime porn just in the middle of these trends? You need to filter that out. That's just like if people want to post that on there, it needs to be It needs to be put in a place where people aren't just accidentally going to find it. That is absolutely atrocious. What if somebody's like at school or something or on their phone? Like, you're really going to allow your website to function that way? Anyway, I think that this topic does need to have more discussion, because I think that the people who promote this shit need to be banished to the shadow realm. We need to make sure that the interaction between men and women is something that we take very seriously and protect. And these people that try to lump everything into the category of differing various degrees of bad, those people need to be humiliated and shamed from our civilization and from our country. Anyway, brothers, that'll do it. Thanks for watching. I appreciate it. We'll see you next time.